Hello, my name is James. Today I'm going to be showing you how to remove your old fan and faceplate from your motor and replace it with our new fan blade and faceplate. The tools that I will be using today is a drill with a 1/4 inch coarse thread tap, a impact, 3/8 impact with a 3/4 inch socket. You will also need a 7/16 socket. You will need 3 grade 8 1/4 inch coarse thread bolts. You'll need anti-seize, a 3/4 inch wrench, an extension, a hammer, and a torque wrench set to 10 foot-pounds or 13.5 Newton meters. All right, the first step to removing this is we will take this 1/4 inch tap, and a lot of times these holes here to pull the collar off get filled with dirt after a fan blade's been used. So we will start by running this tap into here to clean out any dirt and grime. After that, we can remove our 3 bolts from the collar, these 3. We will install the 3 bolts here, these 1/4 inch grade 8 by 1. And when you're doing this, you want to just slowly work your way around, not putting too much torque on any of the bolts so that they don't break, but to slowly pull that collar off of the motor shaft here and out of the fan. There, our collar has released. Now you can take these bolts out. And reinstall one of the longer ones back into here to pull this collar out. Once your collar is out all the way, you can then remove the fan blade. All right, the next step would be to remove our faceplate from our motor. Once all the hardware has been removed, you can then remove your old faceplate. Here we have the new faceplate. What I want to point out here is that when installing the motor onto your faceplate, make sure that you install it with the bolts lined up with the gap in here and not with the single bolt hole. Otherwise your motor will be tilted on your fan housing. So you can install your motor just on your studs. You will want to apply anti-seize to all of the stainless studs to keep the nuts from cross-threading. So. All right, we can use the impact without an extension for these top 2 bolts. You can just run those tight. If you're using a 3/8 impact, you can just run those down tight. For the bottom 2, I find it's easiest if you put an extension on. After that, we'll be ready to install our new fan blade. All right, for installing the fan blade, you will want to remove these 3 bolts and the collar from your new fan, and then we will apply anti-seize to the inside of this collar and a little bit to each one of these bolts. And then lining up the keyway on your collar to the keyway on your motor, fan motor. Just slowly work it down on there. Once it's started, you can use a hammer to lightly tap this down all the way onto the shaft of your motor. Once that is seated down, you won't move any further. Then we can take our 3/8 impact and 7/16 socket and just lightly snug all three of these bolts. Not over torquing them could cause the bolt to break. Once they've been seated, then we'll take our torque wrench set to, again, 10 foot-pounds or 13.5 Newton meters, and we will work our way around. Continue to work your way around until the torque wrench clicks without moving any of the bolts. After the bolts no longer turn, take your hammer, lightly tap each of the 3 flat spots. Then again, take your torque wrench, re-torque all the bolts. And re-tap the collar. Continue this until these bolts no longer turn after tapping the collar with the hammer. Now that the bolts are torqued without moving after tapping it with the collar, the fan blade is finished. Tapping the collar and retorquing the bolts can take up to 10 to 15 times doing that before the bolts are completely torqued. After this is completed, you can reinstall your new faceplate and fan blade back onto your machine with the rubber that goes around the outside of the fan housing, and tighten up with the hardware that you removed. Thanks.